once again now looking at
Hey you guys, what's up? It is Mossy dropping in today for our Week 5 video. This is going to be the last week of the LCS Spring Split, and so this is maybe going to be a shorter video. I'm really looking forward to seeing some of these matchups that we have this week, so let's just get right into the standings. Going into the final weekend of play, we have Cloud9 at 11-4 in first place, followed by TSM and Dignitas, both at 10 wins, 5 losses, tied for second. And then close behind that are Team Liquid and 100 Thieves at 9-6 with their records, and then EG alone in 6th place at 8-7. Then we have Immortals at 7 wins and 8 losses in 7th place, followed by FlyQuest at 5-10 in 8th place. Then CLG in 9th place with 4-11, and finally Golden Guardians in 10th with a record of 2 wins and 2 wins and 13 losses. With all that being laid out, let's get into the notable matchups for this week. Now, the first matchup I see coming up, the first big match I see will be the second match of the day on Friday, EG versus TSM. Now, this is a super important matchup, mostly for TSM, but honestly for both teams. If EG can upset here, I mean, it's really not much of an upset. Like, these two teams are pretty evenly matched. They've been playing against each other throughout the season. They've been pretty close. But if EG can snag up this win, like, it would be a great, maybe they can start their weekend correct. Maybe they can pull out the 3-0 weekend, really help themselves out in terms of seeding for later on in the postseason, or in the playoffs, excuse me. Would be a great win for either team to snag, either way. But moving onwards into the day, we have TL, Team Liquid, playing Dignitas, and this game should be a bit of a banger. If I recall correctly, I think Team Liquid has beat Dignitas in almost every single matchup that they played with each other. So, like, I'm hoping that Dignitas can pull it out, but honestly, like, this one can go either way. Like, Dignitas look very, like, they are in second, they're tied for second, but they look very unstable. They have kind of a tough week this week as well. Again, very important matchup for both teams. And then moving on to day 2, we have, again, Dignitas. Like, they're an important team to look at because of where they're at in the standings. But honestly, like, they have kind of a tough week. They're going to be playing Cloud9 on day 2, and if they beat Cloud9, it would be like a huge shakeup to the standings. This is actually the only game that I think Cloud9 actually has to worry about in terms of, I mean, unless they just, like, throw and they just play very poorly. I think Dignitas is really the only team that may be able to give them some problems throughout this entire weekend. So Dignitas, if they take the win off them, could shake stuff up. We'll see how it works out. But I'm expecting a good match out of that, or a great game out of this matchup. And then later on day 2, we have EG against Team Liquid. Again, like, both of these teams have just been, like, right next to each other all season, and they have a very similar storyline. Like, they're both teams with a lot of talent, and they've just been kind of struggling. They haven't really been able to make it work entirely. Like, both these teams are probably pretty dissatisfied with where they're at right now in the standings, given the amount of money that they put into their roster. But pretty important win for both teams. You're trying to get as many wins, snag as many wins as you can at this point in the season. So I expect that one to be a really good game to watch. And then for day 3, we will have 100 Thieves playing Team Liquid. That should be hype. Pretty much the only tough matchup that it looked like for 100 Thieves to play. But like, they've fallen to 9-6. They were very dominant earlier in the season. They looked like the best team, and now things have happened. Demonte got subbed out for Ryoma. They're playing with a different mid laner, and it seems like things are kind of falling apart for 100 Thieves. So I think that should be a good game. I'm hoping that they can get it together within the last week. But other than that, honestly, for day 3, most of the games look pretty stompy. Like I was talking about, like, it doesn't seem like there's that many super like banger matchups really to watch. That being said, like, it is the last week, and upsets, I think, will definitely happen. Like, I wouldn't be shocked if CLG make a last-minute run to, like, pull away with 3 wins this weekend, like, regardless of playoff implications. I would, honestly, like, I would almost expect CLG to do something like that, or one of the lower teams. Immortals has a couple interesting matchups to look out for. They're a team that I've had my eye on. Like, I don't think that they're as bad as what their record would tell you. Let me check where they are. I believe they're in 7th. Yeah, Immortals are in 7th with a 7-8 record. I mean, if you take one win, and you know, like if you give them one win, you take one loss away, then they're where EG is. And if I recall correctly, they've had some pretty big wins against some of their opponents. I think they beat Cloud9 once, but I might be confusing with a different one. I think the real storyline at this point in the season is just how does Cloud9 finish? You know, because they're the team in front, they're the team to look out for. Like TSM, like they had a resurgence, and so like honestly, I would be surprised if TSM is able to pull it together here, because TSM had like this resurgence, like they had like this come up, and they were improving a lot very quickly, and then it seemed like the last week and a half maybe, or like the last 2 weeks I suppose, they kind of fell off a little bit. Maybe they lost a little bit of their momentum. Spica looks like he's in a bit of a rougher spot. I mean, but that being said, I'm looking at the VOD right now. We're playing, or this is TSM and Cloud9 playing, and TSM was actually able to take the win here. So it seems like they have the ability to beat some of the better teams, but they need to turn the switch on. And I don't know how long you can, like if you're gonna turn it on against Cloud9, that's great, but you need to win the other, you know, like the other less significant games too, or like the lower opponents. TSM lost, I think, 2 times in a row to Dignitas. I think the last one was last weekend, and both of those games were not wins that should have happened. So I don't know, like they need to get the monkey off their back or something. But TSM needs to figure things out. Dignitas needs to be consistent. They have a really hard weekend. Like, if you were looking at Dignitas and TSM, and you were asking which team is going to come in second, I would probably say TSM, just because of the schedule that they have. None of their games seem too insurmountable. None of their opponents. They just need to play consistently and keep doing what they've been doing. On the other hand, if you're talking about Dignitas, like Dignitas has to beat Team Liquid, who they pretty much haven't beat, Cloud9, who maybe they took a win off of Cloud9. I don't remember. I don't think they did. I'm pretty sure they've gotten, and when I say like these games were not even close, these matchups for Dignitas, so like they really just need to get it together and hopefully make that run for playoffs. As you guys know, I'm a Dignitas fan, so that's why I have kind of a focus on them, but they've been a really interesting team to follow. They have been, it's been said that they are kind of playing like Moneyball, but like in the LCS. You know, they have a way cheaper roster than a lot of these other top teams, so I'm hoping that they can pull out the win. But anyway, guys, that is what's on the lineup for this weekend. I'm looking forward to the games, and I hope you are too. Thank you guys for checking us out, and we'll be back next week with a full season recap of the spring split going into playoffs.
What an ending for TSM!